And we are live. Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock, everybody. Thursday, January 22nd. 6-game slate on DraftKings, 5-game slate on FanDuel. You do not typically see it go that way. Am I right? Or is it? Yeah, it's 6 and 5, right?
Yeah,
1, 2, 3. 6 and 5.
6 on DK, 5 FanDuel. Yeah, you got it.
Should have just trusted my gut and told everybody in chat they were wrong if I was wrong. But anyway, we're going to break it all down over the next hour. We have some late swap opportunities. Julius Randle is in case you were paying attention for that news. But for right now, I want you guys to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow us both on Twitter at Josh Engleman and at Eric Lindquist. What's going on, brother?
Not much other than, we got the news already on Randall in, so that was kind of a faux Q tag there. LaMelo Ball, he ends up in. So we got a lot of the news that we would have otherwise been sitting on. I'm just bummed out because that Miami-Portland game would be awesome. Awesome to have on the main slate or on the FanDuel slate where they generally have those evening games. Like, does Jakusianis end up starting tonight? Norman Powell's questionable. We could get, a Jovic or a Fontecchio or a they tend to want Jaime Jaquez off the bench. So, like, there's something random that could end up starting. Davion Mitchell's doubtful already. So, like, there's that. And then there's 4 Q tags in the Portland game, but none of that matters to us on this show. It would otherwise be an incredible late swap, incredible edge slate. And instead, it's pretty flat where we're just going to play a lot of these Washington idiots and kind of figure out what to spread around with the rest.
All right. Before we get started, I'm going to need you to tell me what you called the rookie point guard for the Heat.
Jakusianis.
Perfect. Got it. Nailed it.
What'd I do?
Nailed it. Nothing. You said it perfectly. I was just making sure.
I got it. I know what's up. Need to learn. No, you need to learn how to shut your fucking mouth, Chris. That's what you need to learn how to do. Show respect to the person you're watching on YouTube. Give you information to win NBA DFS tournaments. So how about that? That's it. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to break this bad boy down. Yakashonis, by the way. Anyway, 40% ownership to Trey Johnson, 40% ownership to Victor Wembanyama, 40% ownership to Alex Sarr, to Justin Champagnie, to Keyshawn George, to Noah Penda. We've got a lot of ownership at the top, but in a weird way, it's incredibly flat. We work our way down pretty slowly, and we just have a giant pack of dudes that are all around 40% owned. Some of them look better than others. Let's start at the top. I don't feel like we've done this a lot lately. 9,700 center only. Victor Wembanyama taking on the Utah Jazz. 40% owned, 35% optimal. But we've been waiting for him to get back into the mix, get a couple extra minutes, be a dude you get to. He's got a real price tag now. I mean, it's not real for his ceiling, but it's real. And he has a cupcake matchup today. How do you feel about Wemby?
Feel pretty good about Wemby. They don't play on a back-to-back. We have a lot of teams on the second leg of a back-to-back. Charlotte. We've got teams on the front end of a back-to-back. Denver plays tomorrow in Milwaukee. You've also got Houston taking on Detroit tomorrow, which should be a dogfight. That'll be fun to watch, especially if Cade Cunningham can suit up for that one. So I've started doing some of my work for Friday's slate already. That's typically what I do in afternoons, is kind of get stuff set up there. And then I come and readdress everything for the main slate today. And I just don't see a way around playing a lot of Wemby because amongst spend-ups here, you got Tyrese Maxey playing alongside Embiid. You've got Edwards now, Randall's in, although we did look earlier together, doesn't really change his rates in a way that we kind of expected it to. We still have Anthony Edwards as a viable spend-up. They continue to be up in pace, going completely nuts, and then they play Chicago with Josh Giddey back. These are all usually pretty good things, but you talked about one contrarian option taking on Charlotte. I think that's kind of an interesting one, but Wemby's the lone guy that we've got projected for a massive amount of fantasy points, and we have eternal value. So no matter what, no matter how you slice it, he's the one guy projected for 50 plus fantasy points. I like Jamal Murray by default because he's playing Washington and because, there's still no Jokic there, but so does everybody else. And so does everybody liking Wemby. So it's probably just going to be a lot of those two guys specifically. One, because of whom else I'm got in lineups. I have 3 Washington Wizards and just about everything I'm doing. And I'm looking at Wemby at the center position. DraftKings did us a favor where Jonas Valanciunas, even if he does start, is at 6,100 and not really in play for that slate. On FanDuel, he's the most important talking point of the entire slate. And you have Wemby with power forward over there, so it doesn't even matter. It's one of those weird slates where, like, no matter what site you're playing, no matter how it comes about, you're playing a lot of Wemby more than likely because we have value.
Not our only very popular center-only option, though, today. Alex Sarr, 6,800, center only, in a matchup against Denver with no Jokic, but now with Joval back. But what's really interesting for Sarr, no Marvin Bagley, no Tristan Vukcevic. Do we see any sort of increase from Sarr? Because they don't typically like playing guys like Anthony Gill any minutes ever. I think there's some added upside here if things are working for Sarr on just like a random Thursday.
Well, it's weird too, because this is where I think the Jonas Valanciunas starting or not starting changes it the most. Like, Sarr's going to start no matter what, but if he gets Aaron Gordon to start off, which is what I'm expecting right now, what I think we're projecting, you're in a good spot to start and get those minutes. But like, Sarr really needs to stay out on the floor. Like, say what you want about Joval. We've talked about him a lot in playoff slates where he's not a great defender. He's really just somebody you attack in that regard, but he is a phenomenal fantasy producer. And so no matter what, Jonas Valanciunas is just one of those guys that you don't expect to play a ton. And so like 16, 18 minutes of him, like tops, basically. I mean, it's like the tippy top of his range. If he's not starting, you want to keep Sarr out there for some of those minutes and not have it be Anthony Gill just getting sacrificed at the altar of Joval's minutes, which I think could potentially have him increase from like 29, 30 to 33, 34. Like, not saying a crazy amount, and I'm sure Anthony Gill will still be getting some rotations, but like, I think this is a spot where if you were to just let Sarr stay out there, it wouldn't shock me. And he just looked good at center, but I very much prioritize Wemby between the two of them purely because I want to get raw fantasy points into my lineup as well. So I get it. They're both very popular. They're both going to be guys that I have in a lot of lineups together, but Wemby is going to be the priority.
Yep. I see it the same way. I think he's I don't want to say the clear top pay up option because it depends what you want to define here. I think Ant is equally interesting in this Chicago matchup for sure. We'll talk about some of these other guys as we work through it because guys like Paolo Banchero have pretty nice matchups with no Franz Wagner and no Jalen Suggs. But yeah, I'm completely with you for Wemby. I'm right there with the field on Sarr as well. I see both of those guys standing out from the center perspective. We probably should talk about the rest of Washington here. They're also missing Bilal Coulibaly today. Obviously, Trae Young is not walking through that door and suiting up for the Wiz. So we're getting 40% ownership to Trey Johnson, to Sarr, to Champagnie, to Keyshawn George, another 30 to Bub Carrington, another 20 to Chris Middleton, and then it tapers off from there. How are you sifting through this Washington mess? Because you're clearly getting some of it and a bunch of it, but where are you landing?
Yeah, I ran a ton of different iterations of what could happen. I had taken Randall off and did some stuff with Edwards and Nas. I had done some stuff with Utah that we had talked about briefly before the show, where I was just tooling around with like ways things can play out. And like, we don't know what's going to happen with Keontae George. I always got to be careful when Kaishan and him are on the same slate because I can never remember which one I'm talking about because they both have really interesting first names thrown together with George on the back end. But if we end up getting Keontae George out, Isaiah Collier, Walter Clayton Jr., although we saw very limited minutes at massive ownership for him the other night, hopefully you're able to kind of sift through that one and get below the field on Walter Clayton. We could get some weird stuff from Utah still coming up later, and that's kind of your late swap opportunity. It's not available on FanDuel, so completely disregard what I'm saying if you're playing over there. What a dumb slate on FanDuel, but for DraftKings purposes, you're playing a lot of Washington. It's just what is at the position. Right now, I'm getting to very little Bub Carrington as a result. Bub Carrington is the one Washington guy I can live without. I think Collier comes and just has to be prioritized purely for what that ownership could be, so long as we get that news after we get to lock. If we get it beforehand, like if we find out that Keontae's out ahead of time and people are building Isaiah Collier into lineups, I'm going to be far less enthusiastic about a guy who currently has a 21.5 PRA number, is currently somebody that I'm like, building a ton into my lineups. But if that ownership comes up, I'm going to be able to get away with that one pretty easily as well. But as a result, that's the only guy on Washington that I'm really like outright fading. Middleton's at power forward in like a mid-range spot. You have George, who I think is a very high upside option, 9.5 rebounds plus assists, kind of been the going rate for him, 10.5, pretty much every single time out. That builds a nice floor, and then 15.5, 16.5 points looking across the industry, something that's sitting there for him as well. Sarr, we already kind of talked about. It's complicated with Wemby at the same center position, but I'm not disregarding Sarr by any means. And then as long as we get Champagnie, as long as we get Trey Johnson, like as long as they are the guys that are out there starting, which we fully expect them to, I think we're in a good spot to, or I guess Middleton could start alongside George, Sarr, and you could have Champagnie be limited, I suppose, off the bench 26 minutes. And like, he's still just fitting so easily into lineups. It's fine. So for me, I am prioritizing Washington like everybody else, but the one guy I can make the best case for just hitting eject on almost completely at the moment, Josh, Bub Carrington, and it's really, really freaky.
He is the guy I'm least over the field on for the Wizards if we want some synergy. And I agree with your take that, like, I think he can be the guy that you would sort of avoid a little bit more if you were looking to angle for Utah. I'm 2Xing my boy, Chris Middleton. We're setting the clock back to 2019. Jesus. Back in the time when
he's the
Chris
best
Middleton
player.
Oh, he's so good. A true all-NBA third team man, fits on winners better than Jimmy Butler.
Dude,
got me nowhere from the moment it came out of my mouth.
My guy is MVS, who there's no question in hindsight he sucks, but I beat the drum for him when Kansas City got him and he was low owned every slate. I feel like Chris Middleton has been your guy. I can't quit you. He's your Brokeback Mountain. Mine is definitely
MVS. But Chris Middleton was fucking awesome at one point.
It's true. MVS
anyway,
I got him for a game.
Yeah, that's true. I got 40% of Trey Johnson, 40 of Sarr, 30 of Keyshawn George, 30 of Carrington right now, but I will keep an eye on that as we go. 40 of Chris Middleton and 50 of Justin Champagnie at 4,700. Now we are expecting Middleton to start, Champagnie to come off the bench. We've got him in for 25 minutes. We'll see where this shakes out, but at this moment, I am just getting to a boatload of the Washington Wizards because they're shorthanded and they've got some dudes that they don't typically love to stretch out there. I think this is a decent enough spot for them. So I'm soaking up all this Washington ownership. There's still one more name on this list of people getting a boatload of ownership that people are probably like, what the fuck? $3,800 Noah Penda for Orlando. Small forward, power forward eligible. We have no Franz Wagner for Orlando. We have no Jalen Suggs. We saw Penda grab a start or two a couple games ago. By all accounts, it seems like we're going to get that, and Orlando gets a matchup against Charlotte. Is he the best per minute guy in the world? No. But do we have him in for close to 28 minutes at that price today with an MPE? We do. 37% owned, 51% optimal. Is it Noah Penda season for you?
Not really. We have the highest leverage you could possibly imagine on Noah Penda, but let's keep this in check. What happens if George is out and Sensabaugh is in? Like, these are the things that really worry me about this slate. Like, we got to make a stand somewhere, right? Like, we're not just going to hold hands with the field across the entire board. I suppose sometimes you can, and it can work out. I mean, I think lineups yesterday were pretty chalky across the board. A lot of Detroit, a lot of other pieces that we were able to throw together. And Penda, as long as he's starting, this is a good thing. Like, Noah Penda, it's fine to play Noah Penda, but like, in interests of winning a tournament, in interests of like what else can happen, I do like the idea of having some lineups left waiting in the wings on stuff that can potentially happen. And like, if I have to play some like sheepies coming up later, like if I have to play some Dylan Harper and have him shut down the entire world point guard, shooting guard at 4,200, sweet. If I have to, take shots on God forbid, I'm playing like Cody Williams or Kyle Anderson or something here. But like, there's some Utah stuff that's waiting up in the wings, and shooting guard small forward Bryce Sensabaugh is a problem for me on this slate. Like, he's a huge problem. Like, we know he's offensively forward. We know he's been coming off the bench here, not necessarily somebody that they want to have out starting, but like, if you have George and Markkanen out, the usage has been out of control, and he's like 6-7% owned right now. I think right now he's just a dude that I am embracing and playing a ton of, and I'll turn him into like, I mean, $100 away is Julian Champagny for San Antonio. You have some other guys you could take shots on. Not that he projects well or anything, but we have seen a ceiling. I'll throw it out that way. Champagny has knocked down some threes or two, or 20 of them in games here of late. Bryce Sensabaugh is like my favorite tournament play on the slate, shooting guard, small forward, if you were to play and you were to get George out. I don't know this news. I don't know how it's going to break, but like, I do want to kind of keep some small forward, shooting guard. Like, I want to keep some kind of availability and not just jam Washington eternally. Like, routinely late swap is such a huge edge. Routinely, it's something you want to keep in the back of your mind. And I'm not going to get crazy with Washington to go to like Malachi Branham. I'm not going to do anything ridiculous there, but I look at Noah Penda, and right now, 3,800, as long as he's starting against Charlotte, sweet. He's somebody you can definitely play. We have a huge optimal percentage on him. Not that you can't rotate around other places. Plus, his last two starts, 38 and 30 minutes. He's going to play a ton. He's going to play a ton without Franz Wagner. But, Josh, we got to think about what we can do to win this slate. And for me, Utah's got to be a part that I'm trying to fit into my lineup. So I'm embracing the risk. It sucks.
I have 70+% Noah Penda.
Oh, fuck me, huh?
So,
cool.
Yeah. Now, let me be clear here. I would prefer to have a little bit less. I find that salary incredibly appealing. I am very nervous about what the Utah news can look like. Yes. The problem for me for Utah is that I'm just scared of Utah as well. That's just as scary to me, whether it's, a 40% owned Walter Clayton or whatever the hell he was a couple days ago playing next to nothing. Yeah. So I'm not excited about that. If I'm honest, I would really prefer to see Tristan da Silva get the start so that I can just kind of naturally stop getting too much of Noah Penda. But at this point, 3,800 small forward, power forward, it is unfortunately happening for me in a big way. We got a bunch of super chats that we need to hit. So I'm going to grab these now. First one up. Zachary Cooper, top FanDuel plays by position. One less game on FanDuel today. At point guard, there are 4 names fighting for the point guard spot. Most of them have two of them have an MPE. It's Jamal Murray, Steph Curry, Bub Carrington, and Trey Johnson. I'm going to assume Bub Carrington for you can fall out of that list pretty easily.
Yes. Yeah, it's going to be Steph for me.
Shooting guard is probably a spot where if you didn't get Jamal Murray at point guard, you're getting him there. However, 10,100 for Murray. Trey Johnson is here as well. You also have Keyshawn George, Desmond Bane, Chris Middleton, all very similar optimal in ownership range. At the small forward position, it's pretty much everything that I just said with George, Bane, Middleton. But we could also add in small forward only 3,900 Noah Penda. Interesting that we just talked about him. A power forward, we're looking at Aaron Gordon leading the charge in ownership at 6,800. Alex Sarr is here if you're not using him at center, as is Draymond Green, the third most owned dude at power forward on FanDuel. And then center, a $3,900 Joe Val is 30% owned. Keep in mind, we have him projected currently for 16.2 minutes, but he is an exceptional permanent fantasy player, and he faces the Wizards. If you'd prefer the opposite side, it's Alex Sarr. Draymond, the only other guy getting anywhere near 30% ownership. Reminder, on FanDuel, they dropped the 9 o'clock game. So there is no Victor Wembanyama hanging around these parts. Zachary Cooper also wants projections for Miami, Portland, the Lakers, and the Clippers. I assume that's for FanDuel.
Fun real life game. Let me tell you, the evening slate, you're not playing it because of that game. You're playing it so that you can react to whatever the hell happens in the Portland game, which should be just bonkers. Absolute bonkers betting stuff going on there.
I'm just going to scroll slowly through this so that you could work your way through the data that's on the screen at your own pace. I don't know how else to do this, and I'm definitely not reading off all of the numbers.
I'm on a ride. Whee!
That should be enough on that one. Zachary Cooper, thank you very much. Olan Johnson hit us with the member message for 3 months. I play mainly single entry. Any tips or tricks? Don't be afraid to be way chalkier than you probably think you need to be. These are typically smaller contests. You could eat a lot more ownership. You don't want to deviate nearly as much. 1 or 2 little changes will be more than enough off of a cash game lineup to put you in a position. My other recommendation would be to use the single lineup simulator at Stokastic.com, which you can get for free for a month. If you click the link in the description of this video and sign up through one of our partners, either a sportsbook or a pick'em site, follow the instructions on the top of the page. You won't pay us a dime for a month. And if you sign up through more than one partner, you get more than 1 month. Very, very easy. Again, link in the description. But that would be my recommendation for single entry. Build it in the single lineup sim. Doesn't get much better than that. Finally, Miami Mike, no idea what this is. I live in a rough neighborhood. Every month when I balance my budget, I have to account for hold up money. Shake my head.
What is hold up money?
Oh, dude, you shouldn't have spoke that typing out loud.
It's temporarily unavailable on account due to a Engleman. Oh, okay. Processing holder, banks can, okay. Don't do that. That seems bad.
No. Sure does.
Don't do that.
Sure does. Yeah. Anywho, that's where we're at for right now. That was fun for me.
That I'm fiscally responsible, that I own property, and I must be very careful with my balances, and that I am accountable to my wife and future child. Oh, my bad. My bad. How dare I?
What do we think of Gordon as a mid-tier option on DraftKings?
Harder because 7+K is not fun, but again, you're going to have a lot of Washington today. If you're playing a lot of Washington starters and you want to bring Aaron Gordon along for the ride, in addition to or as opposed to Jamal Murray, like, fine with it.
Josh watches basketball and still has no idea how tanking works. Is kind of weird. I don't.
What a weird take.
Clue what that could be in reference to. What am I missing? What don't I know about tanking?
Here's the thing. Here's the other thing, and maybe this is just me.
Oh boy.
Well, no, but this is not a holdup. Okay. No matter what, friends. Whatever you think, like when we're on shows or when Josh and I are together, Greg and I are together, doesn't matter the combo. You remember what we say a lot more than we remember what we say. So if there's like a thing that you're bringing as a callback joke to like a time or two or whatever it was before, you're going to remember it better than us because we're actively doing shit and putting money on the line while we're building lineups and doing everything else, talking you through the process. So whatever you said or whatever that's in reference to, we're not going to know. Like, we have no clue.
I have no idea what comes out of my mouth for an hour. I black out like it's the end of old school for pretty much every show. I believe anything you'd tell me that I said.
Go to the gymnasium.
I mean, the amount of hours that I've said things on shows now over the last 9 years, I don't have a clue what I've said 99% of the time. And I would imagine a lot of it was just like, nah, I didn't say that, did I? And then it would get played and be like, yes, I did. No memory whatsoever. It's all gone.
How's Sam Burns playing, bitch? Like, we're fine. We're fine. You bet a lot of people on a card, and you need one to try to win. You need one. What are we doing here, people? You're all tilting me today. Penda
Nurkic or Champagny Sensabaugh, single entry. Yeah, it's got to be Penda Nurk. Well, what site? It's got to be FanDuel, right?
Yeah, that makes no sense. It'd be anything else.
Assuming that's a FanDuel question, it's Penda Nurk.
No, it's got to be DraftKings because they are giving you a utility spot. We have one center and no other center. So it's Pen to Nurkic no matter what. But like, I like Sensabaugh so much for tournaments, but you obviously need like a very specific run out for that.
I'd rather have the Champagny Sensabaugh single entry. And if I have to swap off a Sensabaugh, that's fine. But I don't want to play Nurkic on DraftKings.
Oh, yeah. On DraftKings, I'm not playing Nurk, even though on FanDuel, you're
like,
not getting
he's a 5%er or whatever, but like he's not a dude. And Sensabaugh can be a dude for this slate, whereas Nurkic has no ability to do that for me on DraftKings. And there's always like a 2% chance that we find out that he's not even playing.
That was the 2% I wanted to build out. That's what I was trying to pick your brain on, talking through a little bit of that. And yeah, play Nurkic against good teams. Don't play Nurkic against bad teams because apparently Nurkic is God. Just play Filipowski. Nobody will care.
All right, we got an update. 623 ownership, 625. Now I don't imagine that anything changed here all that dramatically, but it's always good to have the freshest of fresh data. So we get to the bottom half of the hour. Sar Wemby 1-2 in ownership right now.
It's insane. While we do this, does Lindy have sense at L? And then he goes all, and then he goes sense at all. I don't have. I like that you recognize that. That was an enjoyable journey. Thank you for that experience for everybody involved. All right, now we can break down some of this data. SAR is really, really, really popping again for me. This is obnoxious.
Be climbing, that's for sure. Do we want to talk through the pay-up options for today?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'm going to filter this down so we can see everything here. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 guys priced 9K or higher. Tyrese Maxey at the top at 10K, the only 10K player. Jamal Murray, Victor Wembanyama, Anthony Edwards, Alperen Şengün, Paolo Banchero, Joel Embiid, and Steph Curry. Maxey, unowned. Şengün, largely unowned. Embiid, largely unowned. Banchero, just shy of 10%. Everybody else getting a little bit of love here. We talked a bit about Wemby. We talked a little bit about Ant. I'd like to talk about Maxey, Şengün, Banchero, and Embiid, the low-owned pay-up options for today, most of which carrying some pretty tasty boom scores in relationship to their current ownership and in relationship to the rest of the guys around them. I have a really tough time having any sort of thought process on how I get to the most expensive guy in Tyrese Maxey. All the boom score, anything I could think of here is just like, this matchup sucks. People are playing. Everybody looks more efficient than that. I don't know if I could do it. But Şengün, Banchero, Embiid, something in there is got a little bit more interest to me. I just don't know what my first thought was Banchero, but I want to hear what your thoughts are.
So can we put Steph into that rotation too? Because like,
absolutely.
This feels like a Steph spot to some extent. Like Jimmy Butler tears his ACL for the season, 9K. So you're getting leverage off of Jamal Murray. You're getting leverage off of, just pretty much any spend up you would elsewise be going to. And 1.3 DraftKings points per minute for him without Jimmy Butler on the floor. 27% assist rate to go along with it. Now, Draymond Green, 27 and change percent assist rate, which is kind of insane when you're looking at it here. Oh, there we go. Finally updated there. 2,229 minutes here without Jimmy Butler. This has got to be wrong. This is obviously wrong. So I'm going to not cite that whatsoever. But Steph Curry, looking at, we're having fun. Don't mind me. But Steph Curry is one of those guys that, like, I'm going to be building out point guard to be something that comes up later for me in the day. Like if I avoid Bub Carrington, which I'm kind of talking about the process and why it is that I'm doing that, he's the one Washington guy that I'm kind of not playing amongst the chalky pieces. You can play 3 point guards, but like we got Collier potentially coming up later. We've got, a guard, I suppose, guard or utility. You could go to the Ant side of things as a spend up. And then Steph Curry, just without Jimmy Butler, he's going to have to do a lot more. Plus, there were some of these games that Steve Kerr basically didn't bring Steph Curry back out on the floor, and they just ended up punting him. Guess what? The times of being able to just punt as you're on a road trip bouncing around after 28 and 25 minutes against Miami and Toronto, those days are over. Winning basketball games, kind of a priority for you here. And Steph Curry, 9K without their number 2. It's going to be a lot of him going forward. Finally, kind of justifiable to be having like the 9K price tag where it's not just a super ceiling 5%er. I know he's a little bit more popular than some of the other guys, but I really like Steph for this slate.
I have a little bit of Steph, actually. I don't hate that call. I'm just perpetually terrified about Golden State. Ball, okay, 2 things. Paul George in, LaMelo Ball starting, Ball, Knipple, Miller, Bridges, Diabate.
Exactly.
Magic, Black, Bane, De Silva, Banchero, Wendell Carter Jr. Wizards will start Carrington, Trey Johnson, George, Sarr, and Middleton. So we'll get an update in here that should recalibrate a little bit on the Orlando side. I fully expect Noah Penda to still have like a pretty decent chunk of positive leverage in our projections when they get updated.
Curious about that. I'm curious because now you can get to some and not feel as awful as I did before. I mean, running it in the Sims and getting 80% Noah Penda was a problem when you like guys like Bryce Sensabaugh, when you are looking at the Washington ownership. So now I feel like I'll be able to get to a little bit and be comfortable with it. And, very curious to see where De Silva ends up in our lives. Oubre starting alongside George.
Okay, so
no Barlow.
Dominic Barlow to the bench for that one. All right, I guess I'm going to go like 26 De Silva. I'll take 2 from Penda.
I'm going to take more than that from Penda. Because you got Jace Richardson too. Yeah. It's going to just be...
I mean, Jace Richardson is 6'1".
I know, but I'm just saying that like Desmond Bane can basically play the 3. I mean, that's not an issue.
I took Penda down to 23. We'll see where that ends up.
Okay.
So yeah, Philly moving Oubre into the starting lineup. I mean, he's been playing big minutes when he can. He probably gets an extra 1 or 2 here. It's not like he's replaced, like, this probably isn't going to shift anything too much. It's not like Kelly Oubre was somebody that you wanted to get to before. We already had him in for 31 minutes. He's a 0.69 fantasy point per minute guy. Can't imagine this is going to matter all that much, other than you probably do not want to play Dominic Barlow if you were thinking of it.
Yeah, you probably don't. That is 100% a fact.
Huh. Interesting. Oh, so I guess I'd like to get, we were talking pay-ups, and you mentioned Steph. I think Joel Embiid is really interesting today.
Okay.
At 9,200. Totally unowned. Still a solid boom score right now. We're talking 5% ownership. Going to land in that like 32, 33 minute range. Giddey limited to around 24 minutes. Not that we were looking for Josh Giddey or anything, but good information to have. I find Embiid interesting because of the ownership coming into Wemby and Sarr. And I think that by flipping that in some way, whether it's a lineup that has Embiid plus Sarr, whether it's a lineup that has Embiid plus Wemby, I think it's a pretty unique path. And realistically, like, I get that this matchup isn't awesome. I get that it's hard, but there is no Steven Adams there. So it's Şengün plus either other guys that aren't centers or 12 minutes of Clint Capella. Not super worried about that. Capella probably sees those minutes against backups. He's not owned. 4% Embiid is a guy I want like 15% of today in lieu of some other centers on this slate, because I think that's the spot that I can pay up and be contrarian.
Makes sense to me. Again, the Sarr ownership is understandable. It's also outrageous. And you got Wemby, where the raw fantasy points are kind of a deal. I like Embiid plus Wemby. I like the idea of that for sure, where it's not that hard to find a ton of value on this slate that we can rotate around a lot of different pieces. And it's pretty low ownership for a guy playing a boatload of minutes. Obviously, Houston, your rebounding opportunity goes way down, considering, we got the Okogie starting lineup, so it's not Eason right out the get-go for Embiid, which is probably a good thing. Maybe a rebound potentially, but this has been the lineup that Houston rolls out, and then Eason off the bench, and didn't expect it to be different. But just for the sake of talking through Embiid, that ceiling, he's playing 33, 34 minutes a night now. And it is a very different situation with him at a center position. And then Nurkic at 7,700, where things can break for Nurkic to some extent, even though we kind of poo-pooed that idea. If you got George and you got Sensabaugh out, the most likely scenario is Utah gets beat into submission and Nurkic doesn't get a fourth quarter rotation. But if it's competitive, it's probably because of him. I think he'd look all right to me. And then Wemby's undisputably like my favorite spend up, but so is everybody else's. So yeah, I like the idea of maybe getting some Embiid in your life. I guess the one I wanted to hear about, because we were talking before the show, Paolo Banchero, somebody that you were getting to before. Are you still getting to him?
So that was more of a personal choice.
Okay.
When I was looking at it, I was just like, fucking, there's no Franz, there's no Suggs. I get that they stink, but the Hornets stink. Like, the Hornets offense is good. They couldn't make a damn thing yesterday. But like, the only benefit to Charlotte is their offense. Realistically, Banchero is going to take everything he could possibly want in this spot and then some. Sub 10% ownership in this matchup, I don't trust him at all, but if today is a day where he makes like a couple extra mid-rangers, it is not crazy to me in any way to watch him just absolutely eviscerate the Hornets.
I could totally see that as well. I mean, he's about appropriately owned to me, like right around 10%. And I think getting to a little bit of him, a little bit of Şengün even for 100 more doesn't kill me. Like, the idea of it doesn't kill me by any means. And like, Şengün, somebody who I've routinely been betting and like not playing in DFS. It's very strange how that works, but let's see. Valanciunas is starting. You fucking kidding me?
Joe Val starting.
Limited, yeah.
Murray, Pickett, Watson, Gordon, Valanciunas. Not great for my over 0.5 turnovers for Spencer Jones.
Yeah. Not good for my Spencer Jones over 6.5 points. Oh, no, that was underdog last night. I was looking through that. I didn't end up playing it, but did bet Aaron Gordon double-double, and that looks way worse with J-Val starting for, what, like 2 4-minute stints that they'll be sharing the floor. That's not a lot of Aaron Gordon independence from J-Val, so that's not helpful.
My guess is they just wanted to get him, like if he was going to warm up, they just wanted him to stay warm. Instead of sitting his gigantic ass back down for 6 minutes and then coming out all clunky as shit.
I'm assuming
it's not he broke his hand.
I'm assuming he doesn't play tomorrow, so I'm very excited to get betting lines this evening for whatever the hell shows up for tomorrow. And
there's no way he's playing tomorrow.
Yeah, he's going to be out of my projections immediately when I get off of this. And I thought maybe if they just limited him off the bench, there was a chance. But yeah, no way he's going to play tomorrow now.
I figure he plays like max 20 minutes here. A couple 5-minute stints at best. Maybe doesn't play the final one if they are closing. Because I think they would rather close with Aaron Gordon if they have to in this spot.
Yep. Agreed.
Other than like just knocking off a couple minutes of Spencer Jones here, I think this will be much ado. I mean, Joe Val now officially looks slightly better than he did before on FanDuel and still really uninteresting on DraftKings.
Yeah, not touching him in a million years on DraftKings.
No. I don't see the point there.
Nope.
All right. Folks, we got about 20 minutes to go until we get to lock. So let's go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. We got 2,100 plus peeps in this joint right now. Get your questions in if you haven't done that yet. We'll be happy to hit some of those. Do we have anybody that you want to talk about right now that you've got a bit of a stand on that we have not been chatting about? There's a bundle of dudes in this like 10 to 15% range that I think are live for some extra conversation.
I would agree, such as nukes and such.
You want to go there right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, without further ado, here comes the boom, folks. We're going big, too. We're going long. Nuke of the night season, folks. It is about that time. You guys, you love this one. Eric's been dropping legit nukes constantly throughout this season. Find your bunkers if you don't want it, folks. The nukes are here. What do you want today?
Oh man, I got a disgusting one. In fact, we're just gonna roll it out here. The assist rate's been down. A lot of things have not necessarily been going his direction, but I couldn't make a Utah guy a nuke purely because I can't predict the news in any way, shape, or form. There's been conflicting reports about who was wearing starters jerseys in Utah. The beat reporters haven't been accurate. They have no idea what's going on with anything. And so Bryce Sensabaugh, like him. George, if he's playing, like him. Collier, if he's playing without George, like him the most of everybody. But have you seen a price tag on De'Aaron Fox at $7,200 in forever? De'Aaron Fox is $7,200. And when I started working through the slate, I was just like, wait, I haven't played De'Aaron Fox at all lately. And he's just been hovering around 7,200. I totally get it. But like, one way that I'm not playing and just playing 100% Wemby on this slate, because I think that there are some interesting other pay-ups, but like, we've had Stephon Castle just crush in terms of assist rate. We've had a lot of other things that have kind of broken here or there, but like, a 10% De'Aaron Fox deserves your respect against Utah in a spot where you want to get him going as your number 2 guy that you brought in to be that guy, and has a $7,200 price tag in like the best matchup you could possibly ask for. I know that this has a lot of blowout risks. I know that he hasn't been, pedal to the metal by any means, but like, you build out some lineups with Fox instead of Wemby. You build out some lineups with Fox instead of Keldon Johnson, who's really, really popular in like blowout run. Like, I really like the idea of sneaking in point guard later. I've talked about that already. One of those point guards amongst the George and Collier grouping, De'Aaron Fox, nuke of the night.
I talked about him a bit this morning on the strategy show. It seemed interesting where his ownership was when I was like breaking down the show this morning. At this moment, nope, let me clear this filter. At this moment, boop, boop, there we go. 10.9% owned, 13% optimal. He's sitting there at 7,200, as you mentioned. But what's around him, I think, is also interesting. You've got Anthony Black, no one really getting to, even in this situation with nobody around. LaMelo is $800 more expensive than him and completely untrustworthy. If you start going the opposite direction, the first guy you get to is $700 less expensive in Dante DiVincenzo, not really getting any love. No one's really getting any love at the point guard spot anywhere near him in salary. And I think by going to him, it really does create a bit of a unique setup, because this is just kind of a wasteland for ownership right now. Love the shout. Love the shout.
And getting away from Carrington is a big part of what I'm doing. Hopefully you've understood that from everything that I've said, like saying that I'm underweight on Carrington. I have 10% of him. And I'm playing all the other Washington guys in some capacity, usually at the field, maybe a little bit over. I think he's a really interesting guy. Plus, if you build more of De'Aaron Fox in and you get stuck with him, great. If you don't, you can turn him into George Collier or some other things. So like, there's some swappability elements to why I like him so much, but I'm pre-building a lot of De'Aaron Fox.
I'm just going to take a look. I just got finished my sim, so I want to see what I have in my opening portfolio and how that's affecting me, and then I'll hand out the nuke. But I'm pretty sure I know who it's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be him. I got it ready.
Oh boy.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute, but this one, it feels good in my soul. Something is bringing me back to neutral. And I think this is going to be the spot that it needs to happen. He is 4,600. I have been his biggest fan for many years, even though that fandom has lapsed a bit. I should be running a Muse account for this man on Twitter, but I do not do that. I represented him with my words for as long as I could. Now I'm representing him with my dollar. Your nuke of the night is Chris Middleton.
Oh my God.
It's my boy.
I nuked Duncan Robinson yesterday, so that's disgusting. This is disgusting. Chris Middleton, go ahead.
He's my guy, man. He's my guy. Loyalty.
Jesus Christ.
Flowing through my veins right now. I can't help it. It's an overwhelming amount of loyalty from me. That is how I feel about Chris Middleton. I love it.
Good luck.
I love it. Keep in mind, just it's not like I'm going out on a limb here. 2, 4, 6. He's the 9th most owned dude on the slate.
Yeah.
I'm probably being cowardly with my pick.
I suppose. I mean, I'm playing Chris Middleton. I'm at the field on him, so
too low.
I've not made any kind of a pronounced stance one way or the other. A little bit overowned in our stuff, power forward only. But Keldon Johnson is like the other guy in the range pulling ownership, and I really actively do not think Keldon Johnson. Like, I think Keldon Johnson plus Dylan Harper plus Scrubby Dub from Utah is kind of an interesting way to go about it. But like, I don't like Keldon Johnson as a standalone play. I really, really don't today.
Yeah, I don't think I have all that much. Let's see. I just ran my first portfolio. Let's see where we stand here. I had to walk back the amount of Chris Middleton I was getting. I still have an absolute shit ton. Okay, this is looking good. Most exposed player for me on the slate is Trey Johnson. I'm more than happy with that. You know, point guard, shooting guard eligible at that cheap price tag. That is pretty damn manageable. 40% Wemby. I am now quite a bit lighter on Anthony Edwards than I expected, but I still have to do one more very important thing, and that is dramatically increase the amount of Joel Embiid that I'm getting to. Consider him my good dude that's not owned. That is my nuke today.
He's your nuke
if that
adjacent.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Your
nuke adjacent. That's Bryce Sensabaugh for me today. I love the idea of getting to Bryce Sensabaugh on a slate where you could potentially have people looked at his usage the last 3 games. Have you looked at his usage the last 3 games for Bryce Sensabaugh? Holy fucking shit. I mean, the guy
dude.
is not shy. We'll put it that way. He goes into a bar, he hits on every girl. He is not shy. That's Bryce Sensabaugh.
He is letting that ball go. I mean, he was live to go for 50.
Yeah, he could have beaten out the hand. That would have been. I didn't see what did you see what the payout would have been on that? I want to know. FanDuel.
Fuck. I talked to Ben about it. I don't remember now. Chat
40 in the last 6 minutes of the game, and I think he finished like right around that. Right? He didn't score like.
Chat. Do you remember how much Sensabaugh's payout was supposed to be in King of the Court? I trust you guys to know that information. All right, I forced a bit more of Joel Embiid. By the way, we got some super chats that we need to hit on here. Let's see. DK, what do we think of Gordon as a mid-tier option? We did that, right? Yeah.
Yep. He's fine.
Holden, favorite value plays on Magic and Mavs. Penda is still the best value option from
Silva for me.
Orlando. Tristan Da Silva obviously going to look a little bit sneakier. For the Mavs, they don't have one.
Disturbing.
Max Christie, but he's 52. I don't. Dallas doesn't have one.
They're the least appealing team on this slate, and they're like shorthanded, which is hilarious. I will go Tristan Da Silva on the Orlando side, and on the Dallas side, I'll go Brandon Williams.
There we go.
4,700, yeah.
Steven Zhang, first-time super chatter, long-time lurker, took down 4th through 9th on the FanDuel made. Thanks to all the hard work you guys do. Attaboy, man.
Oh,
4th through 9th. Obviously, I'm sure that stung a little bit. Every one of those additional spots at the top feels so much better, but 4th through 9th will at least make you feel a little bit better. Vincent Williams, Anthony Black and Curry, or DiVincenzo and Jamal Murray on FanDuel?
Oh, there's one real black sheep, if you will, on each side of that. And I don't love DiVincenzo. I don't love Anthony in any way, shape, or form for either of them.
No.
It's got to be DiVincenzo Murray, just simply because I'm assuming you probably played Murray in the shooting guard spot. Steph, Black. Yeah, I'll go with the second one. But boy, I think I hate DiVincenzo the most. It's just that I like Jamal Murray just more on FanDuel than I like Steph and Anthony a lot.
I lean the Murray side because of Murray getting Washington, but that one, I mean, these guys are basically identical. Those 2v2s are identical in our data.
Did you get anything from Golden State? Because like for me, it's been Steph, and I keep looking at Draymond Green as though I should have some kind of interest, but I just don't think they're going to just randomly increase his minutes. And he's popular on DK. He's like 28, 29%, and I'm just not getting there at all.
You said Draymond?
Draymond, yeah.
Let me see what I have. I have 37% Draymond right now.
Jesus. Okay, great. Awesome. Glad I asked you that right before lock. This is good.
I mean, it's not like I stand by that or anything. I hadn't thought about it. If it helps. It probably doesn't. Speaking of things that help, Casper, thanks for the good info last night. Managed to snag a takedown in the and one for $1,000. Attaboy. Attaboy. If you have a Stokastic avatar, it's probably had 5,000 people in it. That's a free month. Head to stokastic.com, email support. Jeff Williams, Nuke of the night, Klay Thompson. Warriors are down and out, and he gets to step on their throats tonight. Thank me later. Any Klay?
Gary Payton, the second guard. Yeah, no, Klay. Klay, I'm sure he wants to step on their throats. Is he physically capable of stepping on their throats? That's the more pressing question. And my data says no.
I don't have a ton myself. Odd. Nikola Vucevic is looking like a guy that I should be trying to get a hair more of. That's definitely a name that you and I have not spoken on this show.
I will be betting his threes after this program. Let me just tell you, Josh Giddey, Kobe White, Trey Jones, all three of them out creating, Rudy Gobert sinking and helping. Let me just tell you, as a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, there are certain times that I've just been convinced of things. The Jock Landale 3 spot sticks out. Nikola Vucevic, 1.5 threes being like a baseline. Like we're going to ladder Vooch up to about 4 or 5. We'll take a look after this, but boy, do I like it. I just wanted to wait to make sure Giddey was in and make sure that all that kerfuffery got out of the way, because I assume it helped his price out a little bit.
We've gotten a lot of questions about this, and we haven't really talked about it, so I feel like we probably should. Obviously, Draymond and Steph don't really count in this conversation. Are you doing anything with trying to sift through this Golden State team?
Yeah, I'm playing a little bit of Brandon Pajemski, point guard later, in the interest of just having some of these guys that aren't. I mean, I'm playing Trey Johnson, but primarily at shooting guard. You and I both, I think he's pretty unavoidable looking at him on this slate, but I wanted to get away from the Carrington ownership. He's not the best fantasy performer. He's just projected for a gobsmack of minutes today. And I think there's a chance that we can get away with it and just stack point guard late. Talked about De'Aaron Fox, obviously. Brandon Pajemski, Steph Curry both kind of go into that vein. They're about the same ownership that we're looking at over there. And Dylan Harper, somebody that I think 4,200, he's just been like an eternal piece of value on every slate he's been on recently. Whether we get the NBA Cup version of him later to be seen, that's up for debate. But I like point guard later. That's kind of the way that I'm playing this slate, kind of what I decided to do. And I think Brandon Pajemski is by far the guy that I feel the most confident will see minutes, have opportunity no matter what. And I think the Kuminga stuff, while it was impressive at 3K, if you were able to talk yourself into that, congratulations. I really think there's a floor. He played well for that third quarter stint. I think there is a floor on the minutes. We have him right around 18, 19 minutes at the moment. I think that's about appropriate, but I cannot talk myself into playing him for another go around here, even against Dallas. It's just feels like an unnecessary risk on this slate.
I just don't know how to trust it, because everything that happened good when you look at the box score for the Warriors happened after the game was over.
Fair.
Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield were the last two guys off the bench for Kerr. Everybody else got in there first. Then when the game was cooked, you saw Buddy Hield and Jonathan Kuminga go bonkers, but like, I think that's skewed. I have no trust whatsoever on who's going to get real minutes here today. Now these guys are basically unowned. And like, I think Pods is just going to be out there either way, but whether it's Melton, Moody, Kuminga, Horford, Post, Hield, Richard, Payton, Guy Santos, it could be anybody getting that run. Kuminga's just as likely to play 18 minutes today as he is to play 0, as far as I'm concerned. Now, it seems like they're going to play him because they like kind of have to, but all he had to do was like tell Steve Curry was an asshole last night, and all of a sudden he's just going to be back at the end of the bench, not doing a damn thing. I just don't trust it. But like, I get the idea of rolling the dice. Jonathan Kuminga is going to look for his own shot when he's out there. He's 4,500. Would I be shocked if he just played and paid off that salary? Hell no. I just can't trust it.
Yep.
I don't trust Steve Kerr.
Really, why would you? There's nothing trustworthy about that man. He is the epitome of cowardly lion. He is an absolute joke. And he has 4 NBA titles as a coach because he had Steph Curry, not because Steve Kerr is some godsend Phil Jackson style through the coaching ranks. So here we are.
Shots fired.
I'm completely with you.
Shots fired. Guess we're never going to get Steve Kerr to come on as a co-host.
Yeah. Well, that's a bummer. I'm really sad about that.
Yeah.
What will I do without the 48th best Bulls player of all time not coming on our show?
I'll tell you what. When I was a kid, I loved Steve Kerr. I loved just bombing threes. And
I was a Jeff Hornacek guy, and then I went to Iowa State. That's kind of ironic, but not that anybody cares.
Steve Kerr, Paxson, Del Curry.
Del Curry was awesome.
Any Del threes Curry. I could get up.
And what's his face? Mo. I can't remember. I had the card. The Denver Nuggets.
Cheeks.
Mo Cheeks. Mo Cheeks was awesome too.
I love Mo Cheeks. Basketball player is decent too. But bump.
Jesus Christ.
All right, who's your biggest stand? Who's your biggest fade?
Like, in the grand scheme of things, I'm just jamming Trey Johnson, 75% of lineups here, then Wemby, and Bryce Sensabaugh is my biggest stand by far at the moment, but that obviously can change drastically. Like, I don't know, if he doesn't play basketball today. So Bryce Sensabaugh also built out some George and Collier. Collier wasn't showing up a ton organically. You really have to preload him into lineups in some way, shape, or form to be able to get there. But yeah, I feel pretty good about my lineups. How about you?
I like where I'm at. Chris Middleton, biggest stand over the field of anybody that I have. Some of the other giant stands, Trey Johnson, Stephon Castle, who I didn't really talk about, and a guy I don't typically get to. Champagny, Noah Penda, more Bub Carrington than I would like. Draymond, and then my biggest fade as of right now is actually Keyshawn George, followed closely by Aaron Gordon.
Let me see how much George I got. It's just a weird price point. I got him in 8 of 40. So yeah, I'm playing him in 20% of lineups, but that's, I would say, pretty tame. I'm pretty tame on him relative to the other Washington guys I'm playing tons of.
By the way, who said it? Where was it? I lost it now. Where did it go? Oh, G. Fisher said you were 2 when Kerr was playing. 41 in 2 weeks, man. I was not 2 when he was playing. No.
I can remember. Oh, not my mom. Not my mom this time. That's ironic. We've got ourselves.
She's calling me. No.
You can end the show now.
Well, it is 7:00. That is the end of this show. And I do not want to keep Eric's mom waiting. So let me go ahead and call her back. Good luck, everybody. Make sure if you win, you've got our avatar and you tweet it at us because you can get a free month. You could also get a free month by signing up through the link below. Follow Eric on Tails. You should absolutely be doing that. You will be happy with what your bankroll does. I'm going to go tell Mrs. Lindquist what up. So I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.